right, everybody, we are back again to an Out of the Box podcast again with my dear friend and lender that I love, Sam Stevens.
Hey guys, how you doing?
So Sam and I have been friends for a while. He and I really got to know each other, and he got to know my wife and our buddy Drew, because we all went on an Illinois float trip.
Yeah.
Last year, and we just really became good friends after that.
Yeah, man,
and,
absolutely. That was a lot of fun too.
Yeah,
because I've known Drew for a long time from church and stuff, but that was the first time I really got to know you.
Yeah,
and Megan, so
all
awesome.
about, man. I just love, and my wife loves. Like, yeah, let's go. It's like,
yeah.
So we're just, it's just the four of us.
Yeah,
we invited a bunch of people, but I mean, we had a great time.
And we're gonna do another one in the
We're gonna do it in the spring,
or fall. Okay,
we're gonna do it in the spring.
Yeah.
We tried to do it this fall, but I'm leaving to Montana, so we weren't able to really fit that in.
Yeah,
but in the springtime, people think that because it's springtime, the water is warmer. It's really not. Like, it's just, it's like just in general, like the same. But it wasn't bad. I mean, we went in September last year. It was nice.
Yeah, sometimes it's good though, because if it's really hot out and the water's cold, I mean, it makes
Yeah. I mean, the one thing I really like is that, like, once your body numbs, it doesn't really matter anyways.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
but during that time, you and I had some great conversations, and I learned that you were a missionary kid, and that you grew up over in Philippines. Okay, I was gonna say Malaysia, but that's not.
Well, we live in Malaysia too.
Malaysia. Okay, so
both.
So
yep.
It's not just all Asian countries. Like, they're different countries, people.
Yeah.
Just like Africa is a continent, not a country. There are multiple countries inside Africa. It needs to be specified, because people think that it's just a country.
Which we've also both been to Africa. Have you been to Asia? Or
I haven't been to Asia. Well,
okay.
Actually, I technically have, because I've been to Qatar twice.
Yeah.
And that is Middle East, but it is considered Asia, right?
Yeah, you're right.
So technically. And I've been to the Micronesian Islands, which are just north of Australia.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Sounds awesome, dude. Okay.
So you got the Marshall Islands, Micronesian Islands, Fiji Islands.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So, man, it was a lot of fun seeing 7-year-olds with machetes.
Well, that's pretty much the Philippines, so
yeah.
I mean, it's probably not that different.
Yeah, it was 14 years ago, but it was still.
Yeah, no, I ran around with a little machete when I was a kid too. You need it like for whatever.
Yeah, I mean, so we were building a church there, so we had to clear out the space. Like, that's what our mission was to clear out the space, and then to put in the 18-inch 2-foot foundations for the next team to come in.
Okay.
So we went in clearing the land for the Nazarene Church. So,
nice. Yeah,
gorgeous.
Yeah, we used to build churches too, but ours were like out of like bamboo, and then we'd like weave together coconut leaves for like the roof. But I mean, you can make one in an afternoon, and it's almost like a patio kind of thing.
Right on.
But the churches some of them are small. That's when you're like up in the mountains and stuff.
Right. Yeah, you do get what you can.
Yeah.
So you probably have the same problem I do with coconut, and the fact that coconut here in the U.S. sucks.
Yeah, I don't really do much with coconut out here. I mean, there's a lot of things, like just the fruit. I just miss the fruit in the Philippines.
I do right now.
The fish, the quality of the fish is so good too, because you get it fresh. And
yeah, whenever I was there, there was this really old lady, and kids would either use these really long sticks, or kids would crawl up the coconut tree and knock them off, right?
Yeah.
And then the meat in them is like that thick.
Yeah.
Here in the States, you're like, meh, like a half an inch or a quarter inch. Like, man, this is stupid.
Dude, and we make this thing called ice buko we scrape it out, and then we add a couple of other things that are a little bit sweet, and then we freeze it. It's almost like an ice cream kind of thing, but more like milky. It's really good.
Ooh. Can you do that here in the States, or you talk like over there because the fruit's different?
I don't know, man. I mean, there is a Filipino restaurant in Del City that's pretty good.
Right on.
Yeah.
We'll have to go try it out.
Yeah,
I'm all about it. I'll try anything once.
Yeah,
twice if I like it.
It's pretty good, man. I'll let you try like lechon. It's like this roasted pig that they roast in the ground for like 24 hours sometimes, and they just pump it full of liquid too the whole time while they'll just turn it. That's really good. That's probably my favorite thing.
Dude.
Yeah.
We're gonna go.
Yeah, we'll do it.
Because I like it. And you can speak.
I can speak. Well, I used to be fluent when I was a kid because I was born there. But you kind of forget some of it. But like if someone's speaking in Cebuano, I can understand what they're saying.
That's
Just sometimes I have a hard time remembering the words,
I got you.
but I know all the cuss words though too.
Yeah, I mean,
You remember those?
I remember those. Like I got those in Spanish and Swahili.
Nice.
I mean, it's just a thing.
Yeah, it's just kind of a fun thing.
Yeah.
You know.
I have a friend of mine, Carla. She knows Vietnamese.
Sweet, dude. Okay.
Because she was married to a Vietnamese guy, and it was really funny because whenever she walks in somewhere to get her nails done, or or like inside that culture, inside the Asian district, she understands all the stuff that they're saying about her. Like, oh, here comes that white girl, or whatever, just talking trash, and she's like, when do with their language, with their Vietnamese back to them, like. Because they look really stupid. Because they're talking trash.
Dude, that's the funnest thing about like knowing Cebuano and a little bit of Tagalog in the Philippines is they don't expect Americans to know it.
Right.
So what they do is you go to the market and they're like, okay, hey, raise the price because this white guy's coming. And then you just start talking to them in their own language. You're like, no, come on, put the price back down.
My buddy Johnny, I took him to Africa with me last year. And he did the videography for us for our stuff, and he doesn't mind paying a little bit more. Johnny's got such a heart, man. But like you get, like we were sore thumbs. Like Johnny's also like 6'1", 6'2", white guy in Kenya, in Nairobi. Like you don't see other white people or any other ethnicity unless you go to the mall.
Yeah.
Or the coffee shop, which I really liked. It was like they were everywhere. They were really good. But one of the funniest things he said is that I need the price halfway between your skin color and my skin color.
Yeah.
Like, I don't mind paying more, but I need at least halfway.
Yeah, that's funny, man.
So.
Because they will raise the price on you, like double or triple it sometimes.
Oh, dude.
Like they see a sucker coming from a mile away.
Dude. The pastors. So we went to go ride around some bodas, so motorcycles.
Okay. And
the pastor Titus went and negotiated everything first, and then they were really mad whenever a white guy showed up. It's like, we could have gotten more, So whenever it came to everything else, like after that open market thing, we're like this, and this, like, and Johnny's like, God, these are the things I need and want. Just go get it for me, so you don't get like jacked, for your price. But I mean, being in Mexico, same thing. I mean, anywhere you go.
Like the U.S., not a whole lot of things are negotiable, except for maybe like if you go to a car dealership. But like in the Philippines, your clothes, your shoes, I mean, pretty much everything is negotiable.
Everything is negotiable, and everywhere else in the world except here.
Yeah.
In westernized countries.
Yeah. And it's almost kind of a fun game, too.
It is.
Yeah.
People get upset with you if you don't negotiate. Whenever I was a contractor, I had certain types of clients. I'm like, all right, I know I need to bring it up a little bit because I know they're going to bring me down, and I need to be comfortable with that number. Like I eventually learned, and it's not to be insulting. It's not to be anything else. It's just cultural. It's normal. So learn how to play the game.
Yeah.
So I would take it up probably 25%. Oh, that's too much. I know. What do you want to do? And sometimes I get paid more. I mean, I'm just telling my secrets, but they were happy. I was happy because I knew with negotiating and all that stuff, I was going to, we have a PA charge. Paying the ass charge. Yeah. So, I mean, you just do what you got to do.
Yeah. Yeah, I wish we had that sometimes in like our line of work.
I know, right?
Because I love the people I work with and do business with, but I mean, some of them are just a lot of work.
Yeah. No, I do. So, man, well, that's a great segue. So, I met you, and I realized that you were actually working with a friend of mine, Rockford Steele, and Chris Herford, and I've known Chris for years. And tell me a little bit about the story of how you got into that industry here in Oklahoma City, and how you got with Stout, and you almost probably quit, and then you're like, no, I'll go ahead and stick it out and do it. Like, go.
Yeah. So I was I actually moved here from California about 5 years ago, and I was doing something in finance out there, but I got into mortgaging when I got out here. I worked at a bank for a while, and to be honest with you, man, I didn't really love it that much because I was calling people on the phone all the time. I was hardly ever meeting people face to face. So you get kind of burnt out just sitting behind a desk. And then when I met Rockford, I was just like, wait, so you guys have no guaranteed salary. You guys don't sit behind a desk all day. You kind of go and meet people for coffee and hang out and, but make sure and get all their loans, in order and everything done on time. But like a lot of your job is kind of just being out there in the community, helping realtors do open houses, kind of trying to offer value. And actually the Go Givers, which is what you told me to do when I first started doing this, because I really had no idea like how I was going to pull this off with like the networking thing.
Right.
I had no idea about how to do it. And with Go Givers, you guys just kind of explained to me like, hey, get out there, offer value to people, and it's going to come back to you. And then just don't worry about your paycheck. Worry about, trying to help other people, get what they want. And then it all comes full circle.
It does. Yeah.
And so here we are a year and a half later.
Yeah, I think Zig Ziglar is the one that said that, if you help enough people get what they want, in return you get what you want. Like it's just that natural circle of life, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, no man, it's a great principle, and I think so many people don't. What I love about that book is written by Bob Berg and another guy. But anytime I do business with people or somebody would hire, or I would want to hire somebody, I would have them read that book. Mm-hmm. This is the entry level, right? I wouldn't say anything about it. I want you to read it, and if you want to do business with me, I need to know what your mentality is. What did you get out of this? And is it give to get, or is it give to give? Because if you're a give to get person, I don't want you. If you're a give to give, and then ultimately circle of life comes back around, that's the type of people I deal with.
Yeah. That's a really good point, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, how many eighths are in an inch?
8?
Yes. Yeah, no, see, you'd be surprised how many people don't get that right.
Okay. That's like a trivia question to like see like how, like on what scale of intelligence you are.
I need to know if I'm going to watch you a lot or if you're going to be okay,
Yeah.
I was kind of a laissez-faire contractor, flipping houses and, all that stuff. And you'd be surprised how many people can get that answer.
Yeah.
Like, okay, you're not going to be the right fit because I'm going to have to follow behind you.
Yeah. And that's kind of, that's a funny thing is that's kind of what like Rockford and Chris told me is they're like, so I was like, guys, I really don't know what I'm doing here with this whole networking thing and like trying to, they're just like, just go and do it. Just go and try it. You're going to figure it out. It's like learn how to swim. You either do it or you don't. Yeah.
But what's really wonderful though? Because being a dad, I've gotten to see the light bulb go on for all of my children in riding their bike. They can't ride it, they don't ride it, and then boom, there it is. It's forever in their brain to do it. Maverick, our 4-year-old, was the last one to learn how to ride. The other ones were older whenever they first learned how to ride. But Maverick just in our backyard. My wife sent me a video of it because I wasn't home whenever they were doing it. But the other two I got to see, or I was the one doing it with them. But man, just whenever that light bulb clicks on, it's the same thing with networking. I mean, dude, you're anywhere and everywhere you can be.
Yeah,
and I love it.
Yeah,
because like it finally clicked.
Yeah, and that's the thing that's kind of sucked about the whole COVID thing is that we got cut off from that. But I mean, the people that I built relationships with, I mean, we all still keep in touch. But
yeah, well, and with the social media thing, you don't really get any real contact.
Yeah, I've noticed. I mean, I hope you don't mind me bringing this up, but you've kind of like taken a Facebook break, and buddy, like right now with everything going on with the news, like I'm kind of close to like I've just snoozed a bunch of stuff on my Facebook where I'm just like, guys, this is stressing me out. It's both sides are going back and forth and just insulting each other, and I'm just like, oh gosh, what are we doing here?
Yeah, I mean, that's one thing that, and mind you, like all that time, I watched the news. There's a guy specifically, Tim Cass, that I love, named Tim Pool.
Yep, I actually watched that guy too.
Yeah, so I watch him very regularly. Yep. There's a couple other channels that I watch, the Young Turks. I don't agree with the Young Turks at all.
It's good to get a different perspective, though, right?
That's the reason why. you know, because I don't live in an echo chamber.
Yeah.
You know, I have my views, you know, they're conservative, and I have my views that are liberal. They are not progressive, and they are not way on the right by any means. Which most, like, I'd say probably 85%, that was the last number that I heard from a professor. People are in the middle.
Yeah.
Like, the largest majority is in the middle. It's just the far right's really loud, and the far left is way loud.
And I think too, like, we just don't realize. I'm so sorry. Hold on.
No, you're fine.
That's not important. What I've noticed is, like, on my YouTube feed, it's like all the videos on there are stuff that I already agree with. You know,
Gotcha.
And this is kind of like what they're saying. How social media works is they keep showing you stuff that you agree with, and then you do kind of live in an echo chamber, like you said. You have to actually, you know, consciously try to not, you know, get in the situation where your whole newsfeed is all stuff you agree with.
Right. Absolutely. Well, and, you know, just to touch on that politics thing, so some of my dear friends I've had for the longest time are very liberal or progressive leaning. And so they actually knew my dad, and they had conversations with my dad. And my dad was to the right of Rush Limbaugh.
That's pretty far out there.
Pretty far right. I know.
Yeah.
And his best friend, Bill, was to the left of the Raging Cajun. You know, and the Raging Cajun right now is looking pretty much mellow these days compared to what's going on. And it really makes me sad for the Democratic Party as a whole, because I know that they're liberal. I know that they're not progressive. But the view is that they are very progressive. So, but I know that's not true.
Yeah.
But nevertheless, he and my dad was not a quiet man. Everybody had the right to his opinion kind of person. But he and Bill met every single week for like 10 years. In public, at Coit's on 24th and Western in Oklahoma City. Never once did they get kicked out. And they are polar opposites. So I share that story with people. Like, I will sit down and talk politics. I will sit down and talk any conversation you want. As long as you're respectful, because I will respect you. We will not agree, and that's okay.
And what's that American thing where you don't talk about politics and you don't talk about religion? It's like, are we afraid of being not able to disagree, or what is that about? You know?
So my personal opinion about that is that, you know, I think people, especially nowadays, they can hide behind a keyboard.
Yeah.
And, I'm going to unfriend you. It's like, why would you unfriend somebody just because you disagree with them?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, that's pretty childish.
Yeah.
Personal opinion. But, you know, it's like money. So money was a very sensitive thing for my parents' generation, your parents' generation. I mean, I don't know how old your parents are. My parents were born in the 40s. And that generation did not talk about money because their parents did not talk about money. And now, you know, people are pretty open about it.
Yeah.
You know, yeah. I'm not going to say all these things I messed up on, or, you know, what actually I do. I'm pretty open.
You are.
If you ask the right question, I'll tell you anything.
Yeah.
But with religion, I don't know either. I think, you know, as Americans in general, you know, we're pretty much a Christian country. And, you know, like it, hate it, agree with it, disagree with it, it's the fact.
Right.
You know, we're found on those principles. But I respect people that are of other religions. You know, that is your religion. That is what you believe, that you're going to go to heaven and or whatever, and all those things. And I had my friend Eric in here. He was the first guy that I did an interview with. And anyways, I took off 104 days, and he was my first interview because he was registering to vote for the first time. He's 40 years old.
Well,
never voted in his life. And it's because of everything you've seen on social media and all the hate and all the frustration and all the, you know, you feel powerless to do anything if you're not going to, you know, if you hold a job and you're not, I mean, obviously those writers get paid something. Somebody somewhere supporting them because they can't do it all because. But responsible people that have jobs can't go and do that stuff and express their, you know, disagreement or agreement with it, right? So voting is what he felt is a way for him to put his name in there and put his voice in there.
That's really interesting, man. You know, that makes me kind of think of something. Like, for example, in the Philippines, all the elections are rigged, right? So in the Philippines, if they want to get something done, they go out and riot, start breaking stuff. And I mean, I guess it kind of works sometimes, but also it just, just trashes your city, and it just, I mean, a lot of people get hurt.
Oh, and dead.
But this is how they've like thrown out the last couple of a couple of different presidents. I was in one of these rallies, which was really kind of like a party / riot.
Gotcha.
Because they're like guys walking around selling hot dogs, and you could buy a cold beer. But then also like at the edge of the group, like they were moving towards their version of the White House. Yeah.
Here's your brick to go destroy something.
But they just basically attacked, they call it Malacanang Palace. It's basically the White House, their equivalent. And they just basically climbed over the wall. I mean, there's, I think, 3 million people in the crowd. So, I mean, there's a lot of people.
Holy
and the
cow.
president he came to the U.S. He lives in Beverly Hills now.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, Mr. Estrada.
Wow.
Dude stole, I don't even know how many millions and millions of dollars. He lives right next to Tom Cruise.
Huh, there you go.
Yeah.
I heard Tom Cruise is a really
Holcomb
short
Hills.
guy.
Yeah, he is. Yeah.
Yeah, whenever I was in Kenya last year, and this is something that Sam and I have in common, is just, we have this camaraderie because he was, in the mission field because of his parents, and, that's my heart and passion. So we've got to see a lot of the world.
Yeah.
And he's going to share a story about his time in LA and then, some other stuff. But whenever I was there, I was talking to some people that are affiliated with some ministries there.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a runoff, or not a runoff, but there was a special election going on because one of the assembly members had died in office. So I was in this region of Nairobi, and it was a district. So, like, if you think of like the old school stuff, I go back and thinking about the "Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?" Right? I don't know if you ever seen that movie or not.
Yeah.
But there's this guy with a speaker on the back of a truck, like blasting music or whatever. So that's the way it was. Like, you just hear this obnoxious, like really loud megaphone and all that stuff, and that's what it is. It's the political campaign.
Mm-hmm.
And so we got on that subject, and like you're saying, people get violent, like to make things happen and change.
Yeah.
So if you're in a certain area, let's say Democrat, Republican, Independent, and like they're all kind of treated equal, but one is just a little bit more, you better like go to the high country, because people are killed during elections.
Wow.
Like, if I kill you, you can't vote against my guy.
Well, that's kind of already happening here a little bit, isn't it?
To a point, I agree.
It could get a lot worse, though.
It will get a lot worse come November.
Wow.
I have my guns. I'm good.
Yeah. That's awesome, dude. How many times have you been to Kenya?
I went to Kenya twice last year. I spent I think just over a month altogether.
Mm-hmm.
So I was there for a couple weeks the first time. Also went to Qatar and stayed in Qatar for a little bit. Learned a lot about that country and the way that it's opening more to other religions.
Mm-hmm.
They're very regulated and very restricted, but they're still open and available for other believers, whether it's Catholic or, because even the Catholic Church was underground for up until 7 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And the Christian Church and the Pentecostal Church are there, as well as I'm sure Hindu and some other ones as well. But up until 7 years ago, it was purely restricted, purely underground.
So, was that like your first time being that far away from home and what you're used to, as far as like a very different society than what you're used to here?
Mm-hmm. So I went to, my first mission trip was to Brazil.
Okay.
Whenever I was 20 or 21.
Okay.
And then I went to the Micronesian Islands, which we were talking about.
Oh, that's
earlier.
right. Yep.
That was a really interesting flight. We actually had stayed the night. I can technically say I've been to Hawaii because I had to get out of the airport, stay at a hotel, go to the beach, and then got back on the airplane.
Yeah.
Like if you just go to the airport, it don't count.
Yeah.
Like that's my rule.
Yeah.
Because I've been to Germany twice and I've been to Amsterdam, but not really.
Right.
Although Holland has the most gorgeous view landing, because like everything is so organized and straight, and just every picture you think of Holland is real.
Wow.
Like, it's insane. gorgeous landscape, picturesque. It's cool. So, but yeah, so it wasn't my first really far trip.
That's awesome, man. I think it's really good for us to kind of just explore the world and just see places that are completely different than anything we're used to, and just kind of get to know people and kind of see how they live their life.
Yeah. You know, one thing that's really fun to say to people now, because people ask, how you doing? And I used to say only, hey, I'm blessed and highly favored. The old janitor at my not my high school, but my college used to say that, and I just loved it, and I know where he stood.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the reason why I say it. But now I say, I am blessed, and it's because I live in America. Shut up. You don't have a whole lot to whine about. And if you do, I mean, we all have our own problems. That's not what I'm talking about. But if you want to talk about we're oppressed, there's this, there's that, and all this, I know that I'm a white guy. I get it. I know. But you still live in America. You haven't seen the rest of the world and see how the rest of the world lives. Like we were just talking about. I mean, the violence to get political things done.
Yeah.
Is insane.
I mean, and I've been to some pretty crazy places where it's like, this whole thing could go south really quick if it's not. I mean, it could get a lot worse. I mean, it's just like really, you got to be so careful in certain parts of the world just because you don't know what could possibly happen.
Absolutely.
And at least here, I mean, you can walk outdoors, you can, you feel safe going to the grocery store or different things like that. But I mean, there's quite a few countries out there where it's, every time you walk out the door, it's dangerous.
Yeah. Well, and so, with that, so let's talk about, was it Albania? Algeria. Yeah. Yep. So, man, go.
Man. So I was 18, graduated high school. My girlfriend was Brazilian. Her and her parents got transferred. They worked for the Brazilian embassy. Okay. They got transferred to Algeria.
Okay.
So I had been dating this girl for like 2 years at this point, and I was just crazy in love with her. Right? So I come back here to Del City, living in my grandma's garage. I saved up my money, and I was like, okay, I'm going to go to Algeria for 3 months before I go to college. So I spent the summer in Algeria, and buddy, you land there, and it is just crazy. First of all, I had to lie to everybody and tell them I'm Canadian. But even then, my girlfriend's landlord was like, we want to see his passport. We don't believe that he's Canadian. We think he's American. And this is like during the Iraq War. And I mean, these people, man, I mean, there are some great things about the place, but like, it's just every time you go outside, there's like people fighting in the street, fist fights. I saw a guy get stabbed. I saw a gang fight. There's just a lot of crazy stuff, man. I mean, you got to be really careful. Only go out during the day, and usually we were in areas that were like had a lot of security around them. But even then, they had riots for 2 weeks where I had to stay inside because there was riots against America, and you're a white dude over there. And I mean, someone threatened my girlfriend while I was there. He did it in French, so I didn't really even realize he was doing it, but. I mean, it's just, you realize that like certain places, like it's just, these people are rough and tough, and you got to be tough to live there. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So, and the crazy thing is just, I mean, I would have people come up and yell at me, like, because they thought I was American, which I was trying to really pretend to be Canadian. Mm-hmm. But, it was about 4 or 5 years later. I did a study abroad in Greece and worked at a refugee center in Athens for a summer. Mm-hmm. And I met one of the guys that came in was this Algerian guy. He's about my age. We started talking. I was like, hey, dude, I've been to Algeria, And the first thing he told me, he's like, man, I am so sorry. I was like, what are you talking about, dude? He's like, I want to apologize on behalf of my people. But he's like, buddy, I want you to understand like what it's like growing up in Algeria. And basically, I mean, he started telling me, I mean, and this is kind of what he says happens a lot is like ever since he could remember, his dad would beat him, his brothers would beat him. They'd get into fights all the time with kids in the neighborhood. And just, I mean, they had a civil war not that long ago where all these militias came through with guns and would shoot anybody that was out after 10 o'clock. I mean, it's just a rough place to live, man. And he was like, I'm not trying to make excuses, but this is why we are all so pissed off all the time, is because you just grow up with this culture of anger and hate. And then also the other Arabian countries actually hate Algerians because they think that they're fake Muslims, is kind of what they would tell me, because they still drink. They're not supposed to drink. They still kind of have sex before marriage, and they're not supposed to do that.
Right.
So a lot of the other Arabic countries actually do not like Algeria because they think that they're not really following true Islam.
Right.
And in fact, those riots against America were because ambassador to Iraq was killed by some militia group in Iraq because they don't like Algerians, these guys are just kind of like, they kind of get shit on by everybody, man.
Yeah, I got you. Well, and as a reminder, so Algeria is actually in Africa.
Yes, it's in North Africa,
it's in
right
North
next
Africa.
to Morocco and Egypt, Tunisia.
Yeah,
right across from Spain.
Just so you guys know, that's where it is.
Yeah, and they're racist against black people, dude.
Oh, dude.
I was like, this is Africa. How you be racist against black people? Because my girlfriend was black. Like, she was Brazilian, but she was black.
Oh, yeah. No, absolutely. Being in Brazil, like, it's an actual soup. Like, they call it the mixing pot, or what is it? The melting pot, right?
Right.
We're not a melting pot here. We are a salad. You can pick out every single individual group.
Yeah.
In Brazil, they are soup. Indian, the most beautiful people in Brazil.
I think that's part of the reason why they're so beautiful as a people. Yeah.
Yeah, no doubt. Anyway, sorry. But yeah, so but what I was going to say with that is that whenever my wife and I went to Hungary and into Romania, so it's all Caucasian. Mm-hmm. And Caucasians are hating on other Caucasians.
Yeah.
Like, hard. Like freaking gypsies, and just if you're Romanian, Hungarians are illiterate and stupid, and just
I mean, even the Philippines is like that. It's man. They're like, you're a little bit more darker than me, and you live up in the mountains, so they hate on them, almost like rednecks. They consider them,
right? And
then like different ethnic groups within the Philippines, they hate on each other.
Yeah,
I'm like, you guys all pretty much look the same, dude.
Like, other people around the world can tell you apart.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
like but they do. Yeah, they're like, oh, he's a little darker,
Yeah, it's a little, light skin versus dark skin. Yeah. I mean, I get it. It's a thing.
I would find reasons to kind of form tribes, I think, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah, but anyway, so back to Algeria.
Yeah.
What are some of the things? So how long were you there?
A little over 3 months.
A little over 3 months. Okay.
Yeah.
Good deal. And so was the girl you dated the ambassador's daughter?
So he wasn't the ambassador, but he was like, what was he? He was like maybe the financial advisor.
Okay.
He was pretty high up in the embassy.
He's involved in the leadership, right on.
Yeah.
I still want to meet in it. I still want to meet an ambassador so I can find out how to become an ambassador. Like, probably in another 20, 30 years.
I've met a few, man. Yeah. I used to hang out with all their kids in the Philippines.
Yeah, so that's kind of cool. So I was just... so, there you go. Like, if you could hook a brother up, I just want to ask some questions on how to become an ambassador. Like, that's one of my political dreams.
Yeah, I think you need, like, a poli-sci degree and maybe, like... I don't know, volunteer and... Well, not volunteer. I don't really know, man.
I don't know. So, yeah, it's just kind of an interesting thing.
Yeah.
I just want to know. Because I'd love to go live in the country and do that one day. So, yeah. But, and then also, so we can finish up here in a little bit, but
yeah.
So, one thing, whenever you were filling out your stuff about coming on the questions, you talked about your time in LA, and just I've been to LA, I've been to that area, and it is like it's pretty soupy.
Yeah,
like all the different cultures, and New York same way, So
yeah. If
you get into it and you're not a tourist, you actually get into it, like you actually see, like, holy cow. So, and, I don't know about you, but I know for me that I love different culture.
Yeah.
Every single time I've been out of the country, I hate staying at a hotel. I will, like, where do you eat? Where do you go? I don't want to be a tourist. Like, I don't want to go to the resort and stay. Like, let's go do some stuff, right? So tell me about your time with LA and all that stuff, with the cultures and stuff.
Yeah, I'm the same way. It's kind of like, like how Anthony Bourdain likes to, get into the area. So I sold cars in LA, right, for a while. Which the cool thing about that is I sold cars in San Fernando Valley, which is kind of in the middle of you've got probably like 20 different cultures, and they all negotiate differently. So I kind of got to know them in their cultures based on how they would negotiate deals, which was really fun. But I think maybe a big part of, because right now I just feel like there's so much division in the world and all that kind of stuff. Really, a big part of just overcoming that is just talking to people and getting to know them. If you spend some time getting to know somebody, you realize you have way more in common than you disagree on.
Oh, amen.
And so I'm not sure exactly how we can take that with like everything going on right now with the far right and the far left and all that kind of stuff. But, just spending time talking to people from different cultures, different places. There's a lot of people from the Middle East and LA. And I mean, you kind of see like, hey, for the most part, these people want to live their lives, raise their kids, be happy, and maybe they feel like other people are trying to keep them from doing that. I think maybe that's where a lot of the anger and frustration comes from with people.
Yeah, definitely, man. And there's so many different things with cultures that I've really learned to love.
Mm-hmm.
Like whenever Robert Elder, for example, his wife is Brazilian.
Mm-hmm.
And, because I've been there and you understand the culture, like one thing I love about it is like, you a kiss on each cheek. And it's just the hello.
Mm-hmm.
Like I freaking love that. It's so much fun.
Yeah.
I love doing that. So, but that, and then also just some different quirks, about being in Kenya. And just, I've never been anywhere where people weren't friendly. You know what I mean? And you know that. I mean, yeah, there's some rough and gruff and stuff and all that stuff, but man, people are people. I mean, even if you got a smile and you got, a hug to give, like you're good, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And man, I mean, that's probably one of my favorites is going back to the Philippines. The Philippines has been ranked one of the happiest countries on the planet multiple times over by Time Magazine and stuff. And they're really, really poor. And sometimes I think poor communities have more of a us attitude, a we, versus a me and I. Where I see a lot of, I don't know, that's one of the things that like I didn't like about the United States when I came here, is I felt like everyone was way too independent. Where in the Philippines, this is a group effort and we're gonna have fun doing it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Very, very, very communal.
Very much.
Totally.
Where it's like you don't really see yourself as much as an individual, but you see yourself as a part of a bigger thing, which is your community.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I love that, and even that's probably a big reason why there's so much of that. I don't know if that's an Asian thing or not necessarily, because there's a group of investors here that are from Vietnam,
mm-hmm.
where they have that heritage, and man, they're a powerhouse.
Yeah,
because they do it all together. I haven't really seen much of anybody that's not Asian that has that kind of community and just push together. It's crazy.
Absolutely, man. I think sometimes too it's a poor thing, because like even in the Philippines, like the really wealthy elite, because I grew up with very wealthy people and very poor people.
Okay.
And I would hang out with both groups. The wealthy people were kind of, I mean, I don't want to say they're scamming the poor people, but I mean, the Philippines is a very corrupt country. So they were pretty much scamming people, but they were very independent. And then the poor people just overall just seemed a little bit happier, man.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that that's true here or other places, but I just noticed that in the Philippines very much. A lot of the wealthy people I don't know, they just didn't seem very happy to me. And poor people are always laughing and just having a good time together, even though don't have 2 pennies to rub together.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
I saw that time and time again on all the different places I went. And man, I remember probably one of my favorite places I got to go was just because I went down to Candelaria. So we flew into Villahermosa down in Mexico. We went to and then we flew into Villahermosa in the Yucatan Peninsula, and then we drove into Villahermosa. So it was just about like you could throw a rock and hit Guatemala. Yeah. But we got to go to a Mexican wedding because I thought it was a Catholic thing, and it was with a Nazarene church, and there was one groomsman, the groom, the pastor, the bride, and 14 women.
Whoa.
Bridesmaids.
Okay.
Insane. And it lasted all night. Like the wedding, the bride was about an hour and a half late. The reception literally lasted all night. It was insane, dude. Like until the next morning. But the ceremony lasted about 3 hours. So I was like, man, this is crazy. And all I said is something, really cool, authentic quinceañeras. And man, it was just a lot of fun. But during that time period, we were down there building to help create an economical situation for our church down there. We all took sewing machines down there to help them set up a business. But what was really cool is that I was the youngest person by probably 30 years old. So I was in my early 20s, closest person was in their 50s. So all these kids that were running around like loved me. So I learned more Spanish in my 2 weeks down there than I did in my entire college career. The only thing I learned in college was how to roll my R's. But they're happy, man. They have no idea what they don't have. You know, and I don't know if you've heard this or not, but I'm pretty sure you've at least heard the statement. But whenever I was in Kenya and I talked to such a wide variety of people, very wealthy, and also as a keynote speaker at a university and a lot of different stuff. And I talked to some people that are pretty impoverished, and I asked them, what are some things that you want in life? What do you want to see? What do you want to do? And they said, I want to go to America. And I said, I hear that pretty often. Like, why? And from their perspective, they said they want to go where the poor people are fat.
Yeah.
I have a firm belief, and people can ridicule me and criticize me about this all that they want. But you and I have seen the world.
Yeah.
And we still haven't seen all of it by any means. Unless you have a mental illness or you are a child, I believe that you are susceptible to society and that you don't have a lot of control. You need other people to be your advocate. But if you are an adult in the United States, you cannot fail. And if you fail, it's your own fault.
Yeah.
And I have no sympathy. I'm sorry that you go through life. I'm sorry that you go through things. But you still got 2 hots. Even the prisoners in our prison system get 3 hots in a cot. But like I said, I have a friend of mine. Unfortunately, he's spending 20 years in prison. But he was mentally ill. He killed somebody during a psychotic episode that he had no idea that he had done it.
Whoa.
So, like I said, people that are mentally ill. Because there's a lot of mental illness in my family. My uncle was manic depressive and a big dude and very scary if he was manic. And grandmother and stuff like that. So I think more people, back to your point earlier in the conversation, that people should and need to get out of their bubble. Like, I dare you to go outside of your comfort zone. I dare you to go outside of your country to see what it's really like for the rest of the world. You are so sheltered here, and you are so lucky to be here in America. I understand why people pay coyotes and risk their lives to be here.
Yeah, 100%.
You and I understand that. 100%. Not that I advocate for it, but I understand it. And some of my very dear friends are DACA children. Their parents brought them over here. They didn't have any choice about it. And, whenever you hear the stories of, hey, I ate dirt to stop the hunger pains, I hear you. And I have a heart for that. And anyways, that's a whole other conversation. I'm getting emotional just thinking about it.
No, I completely agree with you. And honestly, dude, like, that's really cool that you're open enough to share that. Because I think 100%, as far as like food and stuff like that, and how comfortable our houses are, we have it made. Something when I was doing lending at the bank, and I would talk to people over the phone, mostly doing refinances, trying to help people kind of manage their lives. I noticed that a lot of people could be honest with me because I was someone that was disconnected, I would listen, but they could not tell the people around them what they were going through financially or what they were going through with their kids.
Mm.
Maybe there's a lot of kids, there's a lot of grandparents taking care of their grandkids.
Yes.
Because their kids are on drugs, their kids had things, and they can't tell anybody about this stuff, dude. And then a lot of credit card debt, and they don't feel like they can share this with anybody that they know because they're embarrassed to do it.
Right.
They can share it with me because I'm someone that they're just talking to over the phone, probably like 40 miles away or whatever,
Or a couple hundred now.
But we can, it's great that we do have like all the food and nourishment that we want, but I kind of wonder if this is why we also take more meds than other countries, is because we're kind of hiding a lot of things that we're dealing with. And, because even that little thing that you just shared, there's a lot of people who would just feel really uncomfortable being able to say something like that.
Sure.
Because they might get judged.
Yeah. And I just stopped caring.
I love that about you, dude.
You're gonna love me or hate me, and
right.
Some people are in between, so I'm okay with it. Either way.
That's awesome, man. But I think that's like the big part of, if we want to try to like become more happy as a society, I think that we got to be a little bit more open and honest with each other, because the Filipinos, they'll tell you their problems. They're like, I'm broke.
What's going on?
Yeah. But we're all in this together. You're broke too, so come on, we got this.
Group hug.
Yeah.
We're gonna huddle this out. We're gonna have a conversation.
We're gonna cry together maybe and laugh a little bit.
You got a couple of dollars, I got a couple of dollars, we're gonna do this,
So
totally, dude. And it's, man, I go.
So she needs your help.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you what. This is what we're gonna do. We're gonna go ahead and cut this down because my goddaughter is in need. I'll be right there.
It's a good little system you got.
Yeah, no, it's a good system. I didn't know, so that's cool. Probably would have paid better attention if I was looking at my phone.
Yeah.
But I guess, Sam, like, just in conclusion, man, I just want to say thank you, brother, for being here. And man, I love you, and I'm glad that you're a part of my life.
Thanks,
and
man.
I'm very honored that you have come on here to share part of your story. And
yeah, I was a little nervous, but actually it was a lot of fun, dude. I don't know why I was nervous. I'm weird about things.
Yeah, it takes a while.
Yeah,
but guys, thank you so much for tuning into this episode of Out of the Box. And please make sure to click, follow, subscribe, all that stuff, so you can see more content that's coming our way. And if you want to come on the show, if you're in Oklahoma or you're passing through, or if you guys have an opportunity to make sure to give me a contact and we can get on Zoom or do something. So, love to hear your story. Would love to just talk with you. So make sure to tune in for the next time. And if you guys ever need some lending for property here in Oklahoma, or even actually they've done some international stuff in. I know you guys are working on some deals like in Ghana.
We've got a commercial and residential branch. Stout Lending is the company. My name's Sam. Chris is the owner, but he's so we've got a whole group here. We do mostly Oklahoma, Colorado, a little bit Ohio, but done with commercial stuff pretty much anywhere.
Very cool. Yep. So and they're good people. They've taken great care of me and my business partners for doing some real estate deals. So please make sure to reach out to Sam and Stout Lending if you guys are in need of that, or if you just want to go and hang out with Sam. He's a pretty cool cat.
Yeah,
I really appreciate him. So thanks for coming on, man.
Awesome, dude. Thank you.